Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here this afternoon. It's Friday, the 13th of September, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't know how war is so. What's the word I'm looking for? But anyway, let's get down to the basic nitty-gritty of what's going on out there right now. The United States is finalizing their authorization for Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia. Well, Ukraine's already been striking deep inside Russia, using drones. But what they're talking about here is something different. Ukraine not using drones, but using U.S.-made missiles, or missiles that are made in the United Kingdom. There's a lot big difference between those and a drone attack. These drones, I don't think, typically carry near as big a warhead, but they also don't have the kinetic energy along with it. Missile's got a lot of weight. It's got a much bigger warhead. It travels so much faster. That's why it has kinetic energy as well as the energy of the explosives itself. I think those drones only travel 90, 100 miles an hour, maybe 120 miles an hour, something like that. And they don't carry a huge payload. These missiles would be traveling multiples of Mach, possibly. I mean, so they have that kinetic energy as well, like I say, and they do an awful lot more damage. They're an awful lot more precise at their targeting. Everything's different about them. So this is a whole kettle of fish. I would absolutely think that the difference between drone attack and a missile attack is a missile's 10 times probably more powerful than a drone. So that's what we're really talking about here, is the authorization for Ukraine to use these missiles deep into Russia, which could possibly do tremendous damage. So evidently shows a picture of President Biden there. So Biden would probably be involved in these finalizing plans. It says the White House is finalizing a plan to ease restrictions on the use of U.S. weapons by Ukraine. According to what Russia's saying, they're saying that they would have to also not just ease restrictions on these new weapons by Ukraine, but from what I understand is the coordinates has to be set on the missile where it's going to go, according to what the Russians are saying. What about that? Could Ukraine people set the coordinates, or do they need NATO personnel to set? I'm just asking that question. I don't know. But at any rate, this is what's happening. They've made this decision they're finalizing this decision for the authorization of Ukraine to strike deep into Russia. But now, what's Russia saying about all this, and what's going on in Russia? Well, Putin is saying that he is warning that NATO will be at war with Russia if Ukraine missiles restrictions are lifted. So in one article, we got the United States lifting the restrictions, and in the other article here, we got Putin warning that NATO will be at war with Russia if Ukraine missile restrictions are lifted. This is uncharted territory. Where's all of it going? What'll happen? Well, because it's uncharted territory, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they'll strike Russia with all these missiles, do untold damage to Russia, and maybe Russia won't do anything. I don't know. Or maybe Russia will follow up with this. We just don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that the United States is lifting restrictions, and Putin said NATO will be at war with Russia if the restrictions are lifted. That's all we know up until now about all this. We're in uncharted territory. Now, when is all this going to happen? Well, from what I understand, these restrictions are planned to be lifted maybe later in the month, this month, or soon. It's going to be very soon. So they're not lifting these restrictions like right this second. This is something that is playing out right now. It's in the works, in other words. It's probably going to be a little while. It might be a couple weeks or something, or it might be even a month. I don't know. It's soon. I've heard that it's going to be probably this month, maybe early next month. I don't know, but we're not talking 5 months from now or 6 months from now. We're talking in the immediate future, directly ahead. And then we're going to find out what happens. Will Ukraine use these missiles to make a major strike, inflicting tremendous damage on Russia, or will they just use like one here or one there? Or maybe the missiles might not even hit their targets. Russia might down them. We just don't know. So it's no sense jumping to conclusions at this point and saying, oh, this is going to cause World War III because Putin said that they'll be at war. We just don't know yet. Don't jump to conclusions. But it is, as far as I can see, it is, the war is not cooling down. This is not a de-escalatory move. The war is still heating up. Toward what? Well, let's face it, it's moving toward a confrontation between superpowers. That's what it's moving toward. Will it back away from that? Sometimes it escalates to de-escalate. We've heard that escalate to de-escalate. Well, I don't know. But we're in uncharted territory now with this going on. What did I have in this article? Oh, in all this what's going on, if it'll come up, Japan is responding to fighter jets from the Russians circling Japan. They're circling Japan. Japan's defense ministry reported that it scrambled fighter jets after 2 Russian patrol aircrafts were detecting flying circles around the country. They're circling Japan right now. There's a major, I think it's involving something like 500 warships between China and Russia right now, and they're all over the place. They're all over the place, doing maneuvers and stuff, and doing practicing and stuff like that right now. And so this is the first time since 2019 the Japanese have had some sort of an incident where their airspace has been breached. That's the first time since 2019 that their airspace has been breached. It was breached by a Russian Tu-142 aircraft. They were traveling from the sea between Japan and South Korea toward the southern Okinawa region, according to DJ-24, and they proceeded north over the Pacific Ocean, reaching the northern island of Hokkaido in response to the Japanese self-defense force launching an urgent interception of these Russian planes. This is the kind of stuff you see, guys, when the war theater's really starting to heat up and they're really beating the drums hard. It's dangerous out there in the world right now. What's the metals and stuff doing today? You know, precious metals. Doing exactly like I told you guys. I figured it would. I figured before the elections it could go as high as 32. And I'm not expecting it to go below, say, 26. And I've said basically that I expect it to kind of tread water. Gold, cryptos. See, we're getting ready for this first cut by the Fed. Probably going to be 25 basis points. And then the cuts are probably going to come in rapid succession thereafter. And after they start to be meaningful, these cuts, they'll start to, it's always a delayed effect with stuff like this. You know, when they raised rates, we're starting to discover the delayed effect now. A lot of people are losing their jobs. It's extending out into the general economy, malaise to the general economy. The effect will get worse, even though that the Fed's now turned, because it's always delayed. It's delayed by at least 6 months. So whatever they're doing right now to affect the economy, if they're squeezing off the money supply or if they're letting the money flow again, that always takes a few months before it trickles down into the rest. It's not an immediate effect. Again, it's not an immediate effect. And so what they did with this one of the fastest tightening schedules in the history of finance, is the effects are starting to be felt now. So the effects of this loosening is not going to be felt until probably next year. In the precious metals, it's going to be like pouring gas on a fire that's already started. The fire started with precious metals. It's got a fire under it. It's going up. They're going to pour gas on this fire now. But that's going to take a few months to really kick in. You know, I consider precious metals are doing good, but this is just the beginning of the bull market. And it's going to be a long bull market this time, I think. And it's going to be a very powerful bull market. Probably the most powerful we've ever seen, because of the demise of the dollar, you know. Now, looking at cryptocurrencies today, we see our Bitcoin. Why is this functioning so slow? Come on, load my page. There we go. 59,634 for Bitcoin. Ethereum at 24.14 and XRP's at 56.9 cents. Now moving over to stocks. Oh, this computer's going so slow right now. At least it's working though, you know. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got pretty much timed it. Anyway, Dow Jones is up 372 points at 41,400 and... What in the heck's going on? What the heck was that? Okay, it stopped. Everything was moving so fast there for a second or two. Anyway, Dow Jones. Did you guys see that? But now it's settled down. It's 41,364. It's up 267 points. The S&P 500 is up 27 points at 5,622, and crude oil is down 25 cents at 68.72. Now, our bonds today, they're down. We're looking at falling yields. The U.S. 30 years at 3.98. It's down 1.2 basis points. And the U.S. 10 years down 2.5 basis points at 3.65. Our dollar index today is at 101.909. 101.1. And it's down 27 cents. Gas prices are down a little bit, guys, you know. The pumps this morning, it was like, I think it was 151 a liter, you know, and it was just a month or two ago it was 170 something, 176. So that's a significant drop, about 25-cent drop per liter. So that's about $1 a gallon drop from what it was, you know. That's a big help, considering we're paying a lot for gas up here in Canada. Yeah, and there's a lot going on with this war in the world. They're bringing one of the big aircraft carriers back, I guess, bringing it back home. Evidently, Iran didn't strike, you know, so whatever, you know. And of course, they're keeping. I think things are always pretty hot in the Pacific. like in around Taiwan and stuff. There's a lot of tension over there in that area. Of course, you remember I did the story on the Mike Minhan letter. You know, don't know how this is all going to pan out in the end. Now that we're moving into uncharted territory with pure aggression on both sides, clashing. You know, in and around Ukraine. It's like that whole thing could just flare up and go out of control overnight. I have not seen any real de-escalation ever since the Russians actually moved into Ukraine. Any significant de-escalation. It's just been one steady, slow progression of escalation ever since then, till now. And this new move it's like moving us so close to something possibly happening over there. It's not necessarily true that, like, I'm not going to theorize about that. Okay, listen, guys, thank you for listening to my show. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, and have a great day. Bye-bye.